Welcome to the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast. Tune in every Thursday as we share inspirational stories from the world's greatest creators, entrepreneurs, and go-getters about how they've turned life's lemons into lemonade. And now, here's your host of Lemonade Stand Stories, Charan Prabhakar.
What's going on, guys? This is Charan Prabhakar with the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast, and I am here, oh my gosh, with a dear friend of mine, Mr. Kirby Hayborn, who is a legend. He truly is a legend. And in the circles of, Provo, and I'm just kidding.
Maybe even Orem.
Who knows? No, Kirby has been an actor out in, he started his career in Utah and then he moved to LA for a long while. But his films have really made waves, and they really have. I mean, the projects that I've seen you in have done really, really well in our circles, but they've, like, in the community that we were raised in, it's fun to have something to latch onto, to something to say, hey, I can resonate with that. That brings me hope. And in those circles, like Kirby, like your career has just shined. And, like if you are LDS or happen to hear movies like Singles Ward or RM, Best 2 Years, Kirby stars in those films, and he has great, like not just a great role, but like a great thing for like a role model that people can like connect with. It's awesome. But it's also cool because, you moved to LA and you built a career out there. You did like a lot of great commercials, and I believe you were in, oh my gosh, the Larry Curly and Moe, what is that? It's Three Stooges. Yeah, that's right. You were in that film as well. Did a lot of great stuff there. But what people don't really know is like, because you do all these these movies and things, and people are like, well, what is Kirby like, Offset and all that jazz? But we really connected at a right after your comedy show in California, and you were so good at doing improv. But then we went and we had ice cream, I remember, right? And we were kind of reminiscing about that a little bit, and we chatted about life. And just life. And it was like the industry was kind of over because, I was in the film industry as well. And my path was different than yours. But as we were chatting about life, I realized, oh my gosh, like our lives, like the way we view life and the way we view the things that are important to us are very, very similar.
Right.
And that really like spoke to me. And I realized like you are just a really good family man full of hope. And just want to do good in the world in whatever you do. And at the time you were telling me like, yeah, Charan, like, so my career right now, I'm also doing a lot of audiobooks, and I'm also just whatever I can do to like help my family out. And family always came first.
Right. And
it was so good to hear that because, in the circles of filmmaking and stuff, if people don't know who you are, they're like, oh, well, we think Kirby's like this or like that. But it was so cool to like connect with you and be like, oh, this is Kirby. And it was so great to hear your story. So anyway, I kind of want to take a little trip down memory lane and hear a little bit about like how you even became an actor to begin with, and what was like that whole process like. So because you graduated high school, I believe in 95,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So how did that, like, were you doing film before or?
No, I was doing when people come to me and they say, hey, how can my kid get involved in movies and commercials and TV and be a part of the entertainment world? I say, because it's only the experience that I have, do plays in middle school, do plays in high school, do community theater, cut your teeth on that, and then see if you really want to do it.
Okay.
Because, and so that's what I was doing.
Okay.
And my advice to people, and I know you didn't ask for advice, but I'm going to give it anyway.
I want it.
Don't be an actor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. That's good advice.
It's hard,
yeah,
man. And you know it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the hardest things. It's rejection after rejection, little success, rejection.
Right.
You've got to have the stomach for it. And if you don't, I think that's why people turn to different lifestyles, because they feel like they are failing at something, when in actuality, I don't feel like I'm any more talented than the guy next door, the guy sitting next to me on the casting bench. It's just, you got to be in the right place at the right time. And that's such a cliche, but that's really how it is. And so you just have to be happy with yourself and then move on. So to answer your question,
Well, no, here, you know what? And we're going to circle back to that, what you just said, be happy with yourself and then go. And we will go back to that point because I think that's a very important thing for people to know. But yeah, keep telling me your story.
But that's the whole basis, I think, and I feel like that's how I've been able to find success, because I was happy with myself, happy with my family, and then I tried to pursue the acting. Because no matter what happened, I always had, in the beginning, it was just my 2 little babies and my wife that I'd come home to, who, no matter if I was too short, too tall, too fat, whatever for the role, or a lot of times just way too good looking. I got that so much.
Oh my gosh.
So
it's hard. No, I don't. I never have. Tell me what that feels like.
But to come home and I'm dad and I'm husband, and you just leave all of those troubles outside, and I'm not trying to find my identity, not identifying myself as an actor, but as a husband and father. The joy was just exponential. And then when you start finding success, you realize that, that's great that I'm able to provide for my family, but really this joy is in this family. So after I graduated from college, I got a role up in Park City. I thought I was going to be a musician. I had a full-time gig as a band. We were playing around locally, and then even down into I think we did Arizona once, like big time.
Dude, that's huge.
And our peak was during the 2002 Olympics. We played all over the Olympics. And I think the peak for me was we did the Metals Plaza, and we opened for NSYNC, which was Justin Timberlake before he was Justin Timberlake.
Come on.
And I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to be doing.
This is it.
But my career kind of took a side route in that I did a play up in Park City with my band. They needed...
And you loved plays and acting and stuff.
I had done plays in middle school and high school and loved it. My wife did plays too. And there's one story when we were in, I think it was 9th grade. We were doing a play, and everybody was on stage rehearsing. And for some reason, my character and my future wife's character, how old are you? Like 14-ish?
Yeah, sure.
We're backstage. Nobody else is backstage. And I go up to her. And at the time, I was quite, full of myself. Fantastic. And I said, what would you do if I tried to kiss you? And she looked at me and busted up laughing and walked off. And so we didn't kiss. Not until we were married. That was the first time we kissed. Anyway,
fantastic.
So I did the play up in Park City. They needed somebody who could play a guitar and act and sing, which check. I could do all of those. Not very well, but I could do all three.
But you could do them, yeah. Fantastic.
And so I did that, and then some of the people in the play, some of the older people, experienced people who had agents here, and it was just so cool. They said, hey, do you have an agent? You should meet with my agent. And then it's, the glamour and the sexiness of being an actor, and you have an agent. So I went, I auditioned for an agency. They liked me, and I did a an Idaho Lottery commercial.
Wow.
And it's so funny because that was the summer that I landed the gig in Singles Ward. And the dance that I did in the Idaho Lottery commercial, I did the Running Man, was the thing that later Kurt Hale told me booked me Singles Ward.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a one-trick pony.
Hey,
I know one dance move.
That trick works really well, man.
It does. And then from there, I got to be good friends with the guys at Hailstorm. And I thought, hey, I think I want to do this. So I kind of put the band aside. And during all this, I was working full-time at Zions Bank, trying to support
the family.
And then Singles Ward happened. We had our son, and then they told me, hey, there's a role that we would love, the starring role in the RM. Are you interested? And I'm like, oh, yes,
of course.
Yes, please. What do I need to do? And so every day after they told me that, I'm just nervous. Like, did they forget about me? Hey, guys, just checking in. No, we'll take care of it. We're going to do it. And in order to do that role, I had to quit my financial job. Yeah.
Wow.
And my wife and I had agreed that once we had kids, we wanted her to stay home and be available for the kids. So we went from a 2-income family to a 1-income and LDS films.
Yeah, I was going to say,
you're making
one actor
$100.
income family.
One actor income family and a very niche actor income family.
100%.
Doing, the RM, maybe I made like $1,000, maybe $2,000. Like that's not a lot of money.
No,
to support a family.
Yes.
But we did it. We just took that leap of faith.
Yeah.
And we did it. And then from that, Best 2 Years came along, and then Saints and Soldiers came along, and then it was I met Corbin Michael Allred. Yeah. Out of respect, you always have to say his middle name.
Yeah, I don't respect him. I haven't. I have never.
Don't.
I don't. I've never said his middle name.
So
before.
I met Corbin Michael Allred, and he said, "Dude, you gotta get to LA. That's where the next step is." And so then,
so Corbin told you to do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And which was amazing because Corbin has this huge body of work and he's a working actor in Los Angeles.
Right.
So to have him say that, I was like, oh, sweet, cool. I think I better do this. Yeah. So for a year, I commuted to LA. I would leave my wife and my baby boy on Sunday night.
Wow.
I would cry all the way as I drove to LA. I would stay there through Thursday or Friday, just pounding the pavement. And in the meantime, I'm taking odd jobs, stocking pies in freezer trucks and shredding paper documents for legal companies and stuff.
Oh man.
Because my main responsibility was to provide for my wife and my son. And then I got an agent, I got a manager, things worked out. And then we said, well, the next step, I can't just handle being away from you guys this long. So we're going to move to LA. My wife has always been so supportive. And she says, as long as our rent is paid and you are happy, then let's do it.
Oh my gosh. She's the best.
She's the greatest thing in the world.
That's fantastic.
So sight unseen.
Yeah.
We packed up a U-Haul and landed at a condo townhouse that we hadn't seen yet. We just saw online and we did it. And then things just kept progressing. And then as an actor, you always have to have, I say jokingly, but it is true. You say as many irons in the fire as you can.
Absolutely.
I've realized through my career, you need to have as many irons in as many fires as you can.
Yep.
And after 6 months being there in Los Angeles, I did a play, which I'm not a fan of plays. They're
Which
not
is
fun.
interesting, because you did them before.
I know, I did them before, but once you get a taste of acting where you just have to memorize a page for a whole day.
Oh, it's amazing.
And then you get to play around. Having to know the whole thing every single night.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's gross.
Yeah.
So I did a play in Los Angeles, and the sound designer happened to be a good friend of the people who wrote the play. And he was kind of doing a favor for them. He turned out to be, at the time, this was 18, 19 years ago, the only real audiobook company that existed was Books on Tape.
Okay.
Penguin Random House Books on Tape was really the Books on Tape. They're called Books on Tape because of the company, Books on Tape. And he approached me in the middle of the play and said, hey, are you interested in doing audiobooks? And I said, what's an audiobook? And he said, a book on tape. And I go, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
But I was in LA to be the titular character in a sitcom.
Yeah.
Not to do audiobooks.
Right.
And not to do plays. But because I was open to it, knowing that I needed to support my family, and the play is still part of being an entertainer and an actor, then I thought, oh, this could be just a different facet.
Sure.
One audiobook led to another. Now, 18 years later, I've done over 1,000 audiobooks.
No way.
I read every single day. And so had I been closed off to not seeing that, I believe that Heavenly Father was opening up a window, actually a huge door, 2 big French doors opening up, saying, you want to entertain, you want to provide for your family. Here is a door. And it was almost like a test. Are you going to take this blessing, or are you going to be so narrowly focused on being the main guy in a sitcom?
Yeah.
And it was like, thank you. Heavenly Father, yes, I see this as a blessing. And it snowballed, and I love it.
You love it.
And now we're to today. That's the history of my acting career.
That's it. No, you know what's crazy is sometimes we're so myopic in our vision of like what we think our life should be.
Right.
Right. Like, oh, it's going to look like this. I'm going to go out here and make this happen. But if you keep an open mind and an open heart, then all these different things can come your way, and things that you didn't even see happening could happen that could be unbelievable for you.
Like, I never thought that you could be a successful commercial actor either.
Right.
And I've done dozens of national spots that made me be able to support my family. It didn't make us millionaires, but we were able to live comfortably.
Yes.
But that was another iron in a different fire than that myopic view of I have to be just this.
Yeah. No, you had a house with a swimming pool in California. Right. So I'm telling you, that's fantastic. You know,
which is about 90% of the people in California.
That really is. But not of them are actors.
Right. That's the thing too.
That is the thing.
What a blessing that I was able to be a working actor, because a lot of my other acting friends had waiter jobs, or they sold real estate, or I was able to do audiobooks and commercials. I had a small stint, a short-lived sitcom that was like, this is it. This is why I came here.
Yeah.
But it was only 6 episodes, and then it was done.
Done. Right.
Yeah. But it was beautiful.
You know, I mean, I had similar things where it's like, I was on the show, Silicon Valley. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is going to be it. This, I came here for this. This is happening. And they're like, oh my gosh, we love your character. We're writing you in all the time.
Yes.
And that was the last time I heard from him.
Yeah.
You know, so as you can tell, I'm like, okay, well, that's
the thing. I think it's such a perfect analogy to life.
Yeah.
You could have the promises made to you that you are going to be a recurring character on Silicon Valley.
Yes.
You've talked to the producers, the director, everybody says, we love you. We love what you do, and you fit the genre perfectly. And then it's taken away.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with that? Are you going to say, well, I'm a failure, I can't do this anymore? Or are you going to find joy in being who you are and being comfortable in who you are?
Yeah.
And make the best of it. Make it lemonade.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting because, and I want to ask you this question first. Did you ever get that thing where you're like, oh, if you're going to go to LA, like, don't lose yourself. Like, don't, you know, because I've gotten that question a lot. I'm like, wait, what does that even mean?
Yeah, right.
And they're like, no, well, you know, like, you know exactly what we're talking about. I'm like, go ahead and clarify a little bit more. And they're just like, well, you know, like you're going to forget about your faith. You're going to forget about like where your roots are and all that stuff.
Your faith, your values,
all that stuff. How did you manage that? Because I feel like I have my own answer for myself, but how did you feel like, hey, I know who I am and I'm going to keep staying on my path?
I think that it doesn't matter what career you're doing.
Yeah.
You can be a UPS driver. You can be a brain surgeon. And if you don't already have your values just ingrained in you, it's going to be easy to give them up. Yeah. It's going to be easy for you to take a package that you know has money in it. If you're a UPS driver, I think you just already have to have those values, not relying on your parents' faith, not relying on your spouse's faith.
Yeah.
But you need to have your own relationship with your faith, with your deity, whatever it is, and be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And then move forward. So for me, I never had to question my faith. A lot of times I held up what I was doing to my faith just on occasion to see, am I compromising? And I don't feel like I ever have. I think you have to make the decision beforehand, just like you're told as a kid.
Yeah.
You need to say no to drugs now.
Yeah.
Because when you're faced with the opportunity to do it, if you haven't made the decision beforehand, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing, especially, it is. You see Hollywood and you think debauchery and drugs and you can't have family values, but you can. It's just, you just make that choice. What is it for you?
Well, honestly, I was in this acting class and this girl and we were doing this activity and she's like, Sharon, how is it that you maintained your career? Or how is it that you've even had a career? because she's like, I feel like you're always working. You're always doing something. And I said, well, to tell you the truth, I believe in God, and I believe that just my faith in God and like following his plan has led me to having awesome opportunities. And for me, I have this real inability to even be able to act if I don't have God in my life first. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he is the reason I'm able to act and the reason I have life in me. Because that's another thing. For me, God equals life. Mm-hmm. And if I have faith in God, I have more life in me. And that life, that energy, that's what helps me to act.
Do you find that when you have that attitude, that maybe not more doors are opening, but your vision to see those doors opening increases, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the thing is, you're more flexible, right? Because you already have joy right now.
Right.
Because if
you're not trying to find the joy in this role, or you already have the joy.
Yeah. So right. Then at that time, like expectations are let go. Because I think we have expectations. We have like these feelings of like, it's got to be this way. Mm-hmm. It only can be this way for me to have joy. Yeah. Well, that's a dangerous way to live, because there have been times when those doors have opened and I'm like, dang it, I'm still not joyful.
Right.
Right. And I think that's a dilemma that a lot of us fall into. Right.
Right. Because I narrate books, I don't read for pleasure anymore. So my wife reads great books and then summarizes them, gives me the Cliff's Notes versions of the books. But there's a great book by Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama about joy.
Okay.
It's beautiful and amazing. Well, my wife says it's beautiful and amazing.
Okay.
And her summary, well, actually anything that comes out of her mouth, I just want to kiss every word that comes out of that beautiful mouth.
Fantastic.
This is getting awkward. I'm sorry.
It's not. In fact, this is finally getting good.
But the main point is, it can't be, I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
It has to be, I'll be happy now. Look at what you have around you now and be happy with what you have now.
Yeah.
Because it will never be, I'll be happy when I have X amount of dollars in my account, because you'll get there. Like you said, opportunities, jobs that you didn't bring you the joy that you thought it would. Mm-hmm. It's so important to now be happy with what you have, and not wait until you're on your deathbed to realize, oh my goodness, I had the ruby slippers on me this whole time.
Yeah.
I could have been happy. I could have been home. Just take the time to appreciate right now and what you're in.
So how did you get to this attitude? Did you always have this attitude of I'm always happy now and that's why things are happening?
No, I don't think so. I don't know what it was that clicked. Because without getting too detailed, but a lot of crazy, crappy things happened to me throughout my life.
Sure.
That I feel like I think because of those, I'm happier. Because I look at those, and you make the choice. You make the choice of, I will look at this bad thing that has happened to me, and I can either curse God and turn away, or I can take it and learn from it and choose to be happy. And that's a thing that my wife and I have tried to teach to our kids, and I think that it's working.
Yeah. You've got some incredibly well-adjusted kids. That's for dang sure.
They're amazing kids.
They are amazing kids.
Despite me. It's all my wife. But I think it's because of the hard things that have happened to me.
Yeah.
That you choose to, I don't think there was any one moment. It was just a culmination of all of these things occurring, and I can either be sad or I can be happy. Mm-hmm. And isn't happiness so much better?
Yeah. Because I mean, the thing is, like, you could find bitterness through it, and then you're like, oh my gosh, but just being bitter makes me feel worse.
Yeah,
it
does. I do not know anybody who's harbored bitter feelings towards somebody else who's genuinely happy.
Yeah.
They might enjoy going water skiing or have these moments of joy, but then pleasure. They come back to that dark coal at the center of, well, this person did this to me. Mm-hmm. And they're not happy.
They're not happy.
Yeah.
So there's this analogy I like to talk about where I say, imagine that in your heart, there's a well. Mm-hmm. And whatever is inside that well, you'll share with the world. And it's also what will come back to you.
I love that.
And it's so important that we investigate and retrospectively think like, hey, what is inside my well? Is it full of darkness? Is it full of bitterness because of some random event that happened that might not have been anything in my control, but it's there? Or is it full of light? So I guess, just kind of asking you, like, how do you fill yourself up with light, with joy when the bad stuff happens? Because they happen to everybody. What are your tips?
I start my day consciously saying, I'm going to make today an opportunity. There's a quote by Thomas S. Monson, I think, that's he had on his fridge or by his fridge that said, "Today is my day of opportunity. I will not let it go to waste." I have that reminder when I turn on my phone. That's the first thing that pops up every day that I have to consciously look at and click to clear out before I get through everything. Yeah. So I start every day happy, knowing I may not have tomorrow. Yeah. So today's an opportunity. Don't just sit around and let it go to waste. And so then when those bad things occur, it's taken years, but you look at it as, what's this opportunity that's being presented before me that I can approach it calmly and with faith. And when you do that, that makes it a better experience for you and for sure for your family. Yeah.
I love being an actor, but not for the reasons why you think, oh yeah, I want to be on movies and stuff. Right. I love it because it taught me since I started doing it, how to handle disappointment.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Because that is just what happens. You have so many promises made to you and then pulled away. There's like you said, you feel like you're not good enough for this role, or you weren't this for this role. Right. So many different things where you thought you had it, everything was going your way, and then just gets shut down. I have a buddy of mine that was telling me he had, after trying so hard and everything, he booked this movie with Will Smith. I'm like, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. That's awesome. You're doing a scene with Will Smith. And then COVID hit and the movie shut down and he couldn't do it, and that there's no, he had no control in that matter. I mean, it's a global pandemic, right? But as we were kind of talking about that, I realized I love being an actor for that reason of, hey, I'm faced with disappointments all the time. And it was because of all those failed auditions that I'm so grateful to learn, wow, I can have joy right now. And it doesn't mean that the auditions, I remember this one time particularly, I was going to my car to go to an audition. And as I'm walking there, I started laughing. I'm like, whoa. I'm so happy right now. I don't care what happens in this audition. Yes. I don't even need this audition, but I'll go to it. But I'm happy right now. And it's a beautiful place to get to. And I think that people that try to control their lives too much, or try to say, this has to happen, and now this has to happen, now this has to happen. Then when the wrecking ball of life comes through, as it does, it decimates them.
It absolutely does. And by going in with that attitude, so many other actors, whether you booked it or not, it doesn't matter. But you left an impression on the casting director, the director, the producers, of a guy that's not desperate. Yes. You're not defining yourself with this role. And I believe that's how I booked so many commercials, because I would go in just happy. And I would see all the other guys on the bench freaking out, so nervous, and I need this or I'm dead. What am I going to do? Yeah. I looked at it as, what a great opportunity. And I want to talk to the guy next to me, and then go in and just, you don't put the casting director up on a pedestal. You treat them like a human being, and they see that and they enjoy that, and it puts them at ease. Mm-hmm. So when you go in, I'm sure when you went into that audition, just, you know what? I'm happy. Yeah. You left an impression on them, whether you booked it or not. Yeah. They came away thinking, A, I would love to work with Charan, or B, I want to have that spirit that he has in my life. And so they go and they figure out, how can I get rid of this dark coal of bitterness and just be happy?
And be happy. I think we do the world a beautiful service by just being happy ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because when we are, and we go and interact with people, it's almost like we're giving them permission to be happy. We're giving them permission to be joyful and to come alive themselves. And I think that's why people hire us,
Right.
Where like,
and the thing is, it's not bad things happen. And you have to address the sadness and feel it. This book that my wife summarized for me by Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And I love this. And this is what we've been trying to do. Just haven't been able to put words to it. But you see sadness as a cloud. And then it's going to you see it, you feel it, you observe it, and then it's going to pass by. Yeah. And then just let it pass on. Don't let that be all of it. The same thing with happiness, which is different than joy, I think.
Yeah.
You can still be joyful and be sad and feel for somebody, feel empathy, or something bad happens to you. You can still, I think it's healthy to feel the sadness, but don't dwell on it. Just let it go. And all it is an emotion. Yeah. The tiredness, the anxiety, all of that, the happiness, it's all just fleeting emotions that you have to just put it all in your globe of joy. Yeah. And you will be happier.
You will be happier. Yeah. So COVID-19 was, it was terrible, and like it shut the world down, but not just physically, but I think emotionally it shut a lot of people down, and a lot of people fell into despair. And like, I know for sure, like a lot of youth felt very isolated and alone, and whereas they could have gone to school, they didn't have that opportunity. How have your kids been able to manage it, and how have you been able to like inspire them and give them hope during that time?
When school shut down for us and our kids needed to be home, we made sure we tried to find the joy. We played games every day. We went outside every day, and we didn't let them wallow in whatever sadness they were feeling. Let them experience it, acknowledged it, felt the sadness of not being able to see your friends. Yeah. And then instead of saying, hey, stop feeling those feelings, we would give them an alternative, something that they could be happy with. Yeah. Let's play a game. We had so many rowdy, fun, loud games together that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. Yeah. And then the family walks, where we would see other families completely on the opposite side of the street, but still it was just so exciting to see other people out with their families. Yeah. We just gave them opportunities to experience joy in our small little nuclear family. And I think that helped them. And it's interesting to see now that they are able to go out and do more. They still enjoy coming back and playing games and going on family walks. I love Whereas before it really was a chore. Guys, let's get up. We're going to go for a walk. Come on.
Yeah, you can do that.
Now they're suggesting, oh, hey, should we go for a walk? Because we're just sitting there. What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Right.
Let's go for a walk. And then you find the joy in the simplicity of
I was just going to say that. It's simple. It's a very simple solution, right? I think that's the beautiful thing. Finding joy can actually be a very simple thing to do. And it can be a very relaxed, easy thing to do that's totally free, that doesn't cost a lot of money or anything like that, right? One of the things that I find that brings me joy is just exploring nature. I love it. It's so
It's
fun.
been scientifically proven. Siri says she's having a hard time. So sorry.
Siri. Yeah, she's so serious.
She is. Yeah. It's been scientifically proven. Yeah. The more you're outside, the happier, the more joy you feel. Yeah. And the healthier you are. Your metabolism's better. Yeah. Your health is better. Your attitude, your emotion, your spirituality, being outside.
It's just amazing.
Even in the cold. Yeah. I was listening to a radio show this morning where the guest, do you listen to the Lisa show? You should.
You know what's funny? I had Lisa on the podcast.
You did?
Yes.
She is... Talk about someone who's joyful and brings light and joy to the world. Yes. Through horrible hardships. Yeah. She's a light. Yeah. But on her show, there's a guy talking about taking cold showers. Yeah. How that brings him joy. Yeah. And it helped, like he's going through all the benefits of metabolism and stuff. But finding simple little tiny things like that. Yeah. Even a cold shower can make you happy.
Can make you happy. I remember, I think it was like last week, I went snowboarding. I went snowboarding with my dad, and he skis, I snowboard. And it's interesting because I used to teach snowboarding, so
Cool.
I love doing it. But as I've gotten older, I still get very, very sore, right?
Yeah.
So I know how to do it, but when I get home, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just don't have the leg strength anymore. And I went, and then the following day I could barely walk. Like, it was embarrassing. But the day after that, I was supposed to snowboard again with our mutual friend Garrett Batty, you know? And I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I can. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pray this away, you know, like, I don't know what else I can do, you know?
The thing is, Sharon, you have so much faith. So, it doesn't surprise me at all that you could do that.
I did it, and it totally worked. It was amazing.
Yeah, of course, because
you know, and
you have that faith.
So then we went, and then I came home, and right as I came home, legs were just so tired. My other buddy texts me and says, hey, Sharon, let's go play some tennis. I'm like, I'm there. I'm absolutely, that's the one thing I want to do right now. But it was so fun, like just being outside, being in nature, how that freed my mind and my soul. I think sometimes we get so cramped up in here, and so going out in nature helps. But what would you say, though, Kirby, would be your biggest fear?
Oh, wow. That's a very good question. I think it's always disappointing people. Yeah. I think that comes from childhood and being a middle kid.
Yeah. And
whatever baggage from that. But I think that's always my biggest fear, that especially my family, my wife and my kids being disappointed in me, not living up to what I should be living up to, and then extending that out to my community of actors. The fear of not being good enough, of disappointing.
Yeah.
Wow, this got dark.
No, it got so dark. Oh man, that was really good. No, you know what? It's interesting because I have that same fear. Yeah. I just do not like hurting people or disappointing people. And if I know that I had done that, I mean, I try to be a good person, try being intentionally like positive, but I realize that other people can interpret things or can they have their own life to live, basically, right? And if I feel like I've hurt someone or disappointed someone, oh my gosh, it makes me feel so bad, you know? And I realize, and we're going to circle this back around to what makes us happy, what brings us joy. But I realized that, my parents divorced when I was a young kid, and I was so nervous. I was like, what can I do? What can I say to make him feel good or to make him feel positive? And like kind of living that people pleasing type of life. Right. And I realized that people pleasing thing robbed me of authentic joy. It robbed me of it because it made me feel like I couldn't authentically be me. I couldn't, because if I did, I might be disappointing somebody, or I need to live in someone's expectations. So,
and at the end of the day, we are all responsible for our joy. Yeah. You cannot rely on somebody else. Yes. Because people will let you down. Yeah. But that's a mature thing, I feel like, that you realize that no matter what I do, this person still has a choice to be happy or sad with what I do. Yeah. So I guess since I've known you, I've just known you to be a very authentic person. Just you are who you are, and it's great. And that's what makes you so wonderful. How did you find yourself? How did you find your authentic self? I would say, because as an actor, we're always like trying to figure out what we want to do and everything. I think 20 years of being an actor really helped me because I realized in the beginning when I would go to auditions, I was desperate, I was scared, and I need this literally to put food on the table. If I don't, how am I going to put food on the table? Right. To getting to the point where it's through faith, it's through basing my happiness and my joy on what I have and being happy with that, that I was able to go to these auditions and be myself and be happy. And really, it got to a point, I've had other actors ask, how do you book these commercials? What do you do? What's the trick? What's the little thing? Yeah. And I say, really, and I could write a book. It'll be one sentence. It's go in and just don't care. Yeah. you do care, but you know what I
know
mean?
what you mean. Yeah.
That it's, I don't need this. If you go in with that attitude that you're happy regardless of what happens. And I love what you just said just a second ago. And I'm going to say that I came up with it.
You should.
Because I'm the guest on the podcast.
You are. I don't even know. I shouldn't even be hosting this thing. Yeah.
But you have to make, and you said, you have to be intentionally positive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's work. It does become like a muscle that you exercise enough that you're able to be positive for most of your life, but you have to be intentional about it.
Yeah.
Says Kirby Hayborn, quoting Sharon Prabhakar.
Quoting Kirby Hayborn. Yeah.
But that's what you have to do. You have to be intentionally positive.
Yeah.
And then it works out. Sad things will happen, but you've got to exercise that muscle of making the conscious decision. Here's this thing in front of me. I can either look at it as a sad thing or a joyful thing.
Yeah.
And it's so much better if you make it joyful.
Absolutely. Well, I also think like what human beings really want more than anything else is to be alive, is to come alive.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really what we're really seeking after.
Right.
When we look for like, oh, we want all this money, we want all this thing. Really what it means is we just want to experience more. We want to see more, whatever it is. But I've also met people that have tons and tons of money and they're very unhappy. You know, they don't really experience life. They're trapped by the money that they've made or the cars that they own or the house that they have. So I think that lifestyle of joy, that lifestyle of really feeling alive right here, right now, if we can do the things that necessary meditation practices, prayer, whatever it is for yourself to feel alive right now, things are going to be okay for you.
Right.
You know?
I love also what you said, but I'm going to take credit for it.
Absolutely. You need
is
to.
finding your authentic self.
Yeah.
I love that too. When you, because you're going to experience life differently than me, just because I hate snowboarding.
Okay.
But I would go skiing with you.
Yeah, sure.
Like, we could still bond together.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I could look at that. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I could look at it as, oh, Sharon finds joy in snowboarding and I'm no good at it. So then I can't find joy in that way. And then I'll try to snowboard and maybe I will find the joy that you do. But being my authentic self, I would go skiing with you.
Absolutely.
So we experience the mountain resorts differently.
Yes.
As our authentic selves. Finding joy, I would find it skiing. You would find it snowboarding.
Right. Exactly.
So I think if you experience life and realize that I can experience life only the way that I can.
Right.
It doesn't have to be exactly the same as the person next to me.
Yeah.
Find your authentic self and go skiing. Don't ever snowboard.
Ever, unless you're a snowboarder, in which case.
Then do that.
But avoid skiing at all costs.
Yeah.
No,
I think when you are your authentic self, then you're able to see these doors that are open for you, these windows that are open for you, that have been there all along.
Yeah.
I know for, not to plug my amazing TV show, Making Good on BYU TV.
No.
But it's the greatest thing I've ever been a part of because I'm able to be my authentic self. Organizations that we go and meet with, some of them at the beginning are a little trepidatious, thinking that I'm just an act because they've seen some episodes.
Sure.
And they think there's no way that this guy cries so easily and really gets involved with this stuff. And then when they see that that's really me, I now have relationships with, we've done almost 30 episodes now with 30 different organizations that are making a huge difference in the world because I have a relationship with them now because I was my authentic self.
Yeah.
And if I felt like crying, I let the tears come, you know? But it is being your authentic self. Yeah. People want to see that. People talk about a light that you have. And yes, I think it's because you're joyful, because you're a man of faith, but I also think it's because you're living your authentic self. Yeah. You're intentionally finding joy. That is the light that's coming from Sharon, and I think that's coming from other people, is all of those things together. It isn't just the light of deity in us, which it is a part of that, but it's also opening up all of those things, being your authentic self. Because if you're not your authentic self, you're putting shutters in front of your heart. And people may not be able to recognize that, but they can feel it. Or maybe it's a lack of feeling your light.
Of your light shine.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. When COVID hit, I was doing a lot of praying because I was like, what am I supposed to do now? Because everyone shut down, right?
Yeah.
And the feeling I kept getting, which was a great feeling to have, was, Sharon, go have more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait, what? That sounds amazing, but wait, okay. I mean,
sign me up.
Don't twist my arm, but why? Why have more fun? And I just kept feeling, it's like, because when you're having more fun, you're actually authentic.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Oh, and then I started thinking about it, and I kept feeling like these more feelings come in, saying, hey, why? And I felt it was of God, and he was saying, why would I want to build your life up when the life that you're building is not really what you want to build to begin with?
Right. Wow.
You know, like this, I'm happy to bless you. I'm happy to build you up. But if you're not being completely authentically you, and you're trying to build up somebody else's dream, and you've convinced yourself that that's your dream because of what other people have told you, then you're kind of living a false life. It's not truly you. But if you find out who you really are and what you really want to do, I will build that up for you.
Isn't that amazing?
And it's been amazing. I mean, so like even this podcast started because I thought, hey, you know what? Let's just do these Zoom podcasts with people. I just want to get to know people, see what's going on, just inspire people. And then all of a sudden, one of the people I interviewed was Greg Trimble, who now is saying, hey, come be the host of the Lemonade Stand podcast. It's just how it all works.
Yeah.
So it's a miracle, man.
And look at that. Because you were being your authentic self,
Yeah.
this opportunity was probably always open for you.
Yeah.
But until you were your authentic self, you couldn't see, and things just open up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, last question, I think.
Sharon, but I don't ever want to leave.
No, I know, buddy. I know. I'm glad we had that, and it's all recorded on camera.
Good.
So,
which, by the way, everybody needs to know, you are genuinely authentic and a bright light.
Oh,
it's going to make me cry because I cry so easily. My life is blessed because I know you. My family is blessed because we know you. And the light that you are, and people don't know that you not that my son was going through a hard time, but it's trying to find his authentic self. You're a legend in our house. Oh, everybody talks about Sharon, and sadly, my 12-year-old, she says, is Sharon married yet? Because she's hoping that she can hook up with you someday. Okay. Well, if you can wait another maybe 15 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you left such a great positive impression on our household that our kids are like, it's almost like WWCD. What would Sharon do? And it's always, Sharon's just a bright light, a happy guy. And, you took, I don't know if you remember, but you took the time to listen to my son, which every kid wants to have that. So thank you. That's it. Man, of course. I'll stop crying.
No, listen, you're so great.
So dumb.
No, dude, here's the thing.
This is my troubled childhood coming up. Through tears.
No, you're awesome, man. I mean, I remember so vividly that day we gave those firesides.
Yeah.
Your son had asked me to give a fireside in your ward, and funny enough, that same day you were giving a fireside in my ward.
We didn't know.
We had no idea. We were like, how is this even happening? But yours was like before mine, and then like we went straight to your house, had dinner, and then had the fireside at your ward. But I remember, your family is just such a beautiful family, and I mean, you give me hope. Like honestly, not just because of those movies, but like I look at my life and I think, well, there's so many people I know that have not, or that have had like troubled marriages, or marriages that have fallen apart, or families that have fallen apart, and those things discourage me. They really discourage me. I mean, it's really, really tough. Right. But then when I see a family like yours, and I see your kids, how adjusted they are, and having conversations with them, it just gives me hope. It makes me be like, wow, like, even in a troubled time like right now.
And if Kirby can do it. Anybody.
If a vacuum cleaner can do it, anyone. No, man. Right. Well, listen, I really appreciate you being on this podcast. Do you have any last words of advice to give to like the youth or to your younger self? What would you say?
What we've just nailed into this coffin. Yeah. It's be your authentic self. Yeah. Be intentional about finding your joy, and just have faith.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Kirby, I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. You're amazing.
Thank you, Sharon. You're amazing.
You're amazing. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Thanks so much for listening to the Lemonade Stand podcast, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you use to be alerted when we release new episodes. We'd also love to hear your feedback in the reviews, and if you or someone you know has an awesome Lemonade Stand story, please reach out to us on social media and let us know. Thanks so much, and have a great day.